Are you awake? I think you went to sleep. Lunch was too good, no? All of you are fast asleep, yeah. I'm telling you a bedtime story. Come on, wake up. We've got a session now that addresses strategic transformation from individual contributor to people manager. So welcome back to the first post-lunch session that delves into the development of various essential leadership skills like communication, delegation, conflict resolution, or a team-oriented mindset that is needed to transform from an individual contributor role to a people management position. Our speakers, Ms. Anjali Gupta, Senior Engineering Manager at Intuit, has more than 21 years of experience in IT, and her career spans roles at IBM, Software Labs, HP, and Infosys. Mr. Jay Datta, Global Head of User Experience Practice, Investment Banking at Deutsche Bank. He is a dynamic design and product leader known for building high-impact, Avengers-level design teams across enterprise, prosumer, and consumer spaces. And our moderator is popularly called Professor Venki. He's Venkatesh Mahadevan, the founding board member at IAMCAS. He has over 2 decades of progressive experience in leadership positions with top Fortune 500 companies such as Motorola, Coca-Cola, and Procter & Gamble. So here they are, ladies and gentlemen. It's over to Professor Venki.
Thank you, Rainy. Thank you very much. I'm assuming all of you can hear me. Awesome. Brilliant. I can see some of you waving for me. So, doing a session after Usha Uttup, and I'm eternally grateful to all of you for staying back. So she's coming. She said she'll be back. So I had 2 fanboy moments today. I have to tell you this. One was meeting Rini, which was an absolute fanboy moment. I assume most of you are young here, and my beard gives way. I tried going to a parlor last night, but it was closed. So Rini was an absolute fanboy moment. We watched her in black and white television. So absolute fanboy. The second fanboy moment was watching Usha Uttup. So I've heard her many years back. And then Carlton Braganza was thrown in for extra effect. So absolutely awesome. Very excited to be here. Thank you very much for staying back. A couple of things I'll get out of the way. This is not a rehearsal. So feel free to take photographs. Videography is allowed. Photographs are allowed. Some of you wanting autographs, we will be backstage after this event. You can come. We sign on t-shirts. We sign on mugs. At least I do. We sign on papers. We sign on mobiles. We sign on everything. So feel free to come and take to it. I have 2 phenomenally qualified and experienced people on both my sides, right? And what can I tell you? So I'm going to give you a quiz question. And by the way, feel free to clap and cheer for me, whistle, all of that is allowed, right? Yeah. You know, looking at this, it reminds me of the good old engineering days where you had 2 girls and 65 guys. This is the diversity, reverse now. We have 2 boys and 150 girls. Yeah, oh, he's sweating. Okay, yes, so both of them, right? And I'm not going to tell you which one. One of them is ambidextrous, can write and draw with both of their hands. Number 1. Second, does painting, does sea diving, does skydiving. You can guess, but I'll give you a hint as well. One of them does the art of toppling on a straight road, and I don't know how, don't ask me. The other one actually had a major client presentation, took the day off. They tell me it was their anniversary, took the day off. Their boss presented the wrong brand logo to the client. I hope this is not live. The client bought it. As we speak, they are using that logo, and these guys got paid for it. Give them a big hand. This is the future of leadership. This is exactly what we're going to talk about. Okay, so thank you very much. Welcome once again. On a serious note, it's a very important topic. So we're talking about individual contributors moving to people managers, right? So it reminds me of somebody being in charge to moving to a position of taking care of those you are in charge of. Two different words. Think about it. A lot of times we get into roles that we want to do very early in our career. We want to be individual contributors. We want to do this. And then along the way, we kind of feel, no, I should have a team of people. I want to move into a manager, director, supervisor role. And we move there. And then we realize we are unable to manage that role because we were not prepared for it. Organizations did not train us for it. So we're going to talk to both of them today with a lot of experience on what they are feeling about the whole thing is and how do they manage these kind of situations. And because it is anitaB.org and it's a Grace Hopper celebration in India, so many women. The first question goes to Jay. Thank you. Look at all of you. Look at you. All of you looking at her. Diversity, my dear. Diversity. Okay, so Jay, the first question to you. How can organizations, a lot of people wanting to move into these kind of roles, how can organizations, you believe, create an environment that not only supports and promotes these individuals, but also make sure that the organization culture doesn't get affected? So what's been your experience and how do you? No, no, I think they can't hear you. No, okay, was this on purpose?
Yeah, is that audible now? Excellent. So, organizations, if you think about organizations, and I'm sure many of you would have read Yuval Noah Harari, he calls them myths. They don't really exist in real sense. Organizations are made of people like you and me and everyone else. So when we talk about organizations giving a chance, you will find that these are people within the organizations who think differently, who act differently, who want to make the organization a different place overall. So, how can organizations make it happen? How can they promote diversity of thinking, diversity of approach, diversity of leadership styles? And I think a lot of it has to do with very progressive managers. I mean, I have had a chance to have a lot of great managers. Incidentally, my very first manager was a woman, extremely tough and very compassionate at the same time. And through her and through other managers, many of whom were very diverse in their thinking, I think it's balancing because very often you would have organization principles, organizational rules, and organizational role models who are actually promoted or who are promoted in the sense of like, this is the person, this is the behavior we must model. But at the same time, you would have people with very different value system, but they are equally progressive, equally great for the organization. Is that great? So when when an organization is broad in its scope, and by organization I mean senior leaders, super senior leaders, managers who are willing to sort of have those diverse voices, and those diverse voices in turn then encourage voices like yours, again within a certain set of parameters, of course, that's when a lot of more people open up. And also the thing of not the one which says not this, not this, not this, is to say what is it. Very often organizations will say that you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you cannot do this. The question is, what can we do? I think that is where I would, and I have seen a lot of that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Anjali, the next question to you now that we've got diversity and inclusion out of the way. Uh, how do you think we can leverage diverse perspective within teams, right? So typically you want to enhance decision making, foster culture, inclusivity, and you've been in that position. So can you share some experiences with the audience?
Definitely very important.
I keep it close to you.
So, yeah, being a woman and we spend a lot of time in cooking. Let's imagine, you are cooking a very world-class dish, and say you are cooking a pudding. You will use a rice and milk and some sugar. You can do it in simple way. The other way is get some diverse and tasty saffron from Kashmir, say, a cardamom from Kerala, and, it will enhance the flavor of the dish you are creating. It will create, because your intention is to create the best dish. So now apply the same principle to the team you are creating with diverse perspective. You bring in, people with different skills, different experiences, and create a diverse team which can create world-class solution. So if you're stuck in a problem, right? It's a critical problem someone has to solve. You can't solve it alone. You need a diverse team. So you bring in, you collect their ideas, you stir those ideas into an innovative solution, and that definitely helps those diverse perspective delight the taste of your stakeholders, right? So that is what the importance of having the diverse views in the a
Very
team.
nice. Very nice. And I'm going to stay with you. I know we spoke before this talk about mentorship and leadership. And for me, how can we redesign or reimagine mentorship and leadership, especially to support women, more women in leadership roles?
Yeah, amazing question, Venki, I must say, because this is the key. Mentoring, sponsor, coaching, right?
Come
Especially at the
close.
crucial stages where you are at the milestones. So at least I can speak from my organization. I work for Intuit. We have a couple of programs which catches you where you are, right? They are so flexible. So we have a global mentorship program because people are of different races, different genders, different experiences, different stages. Like you have come back from a maternity leave, you are too early in your career, your needs are different. So they collect your skills, your experiences. So we, using that platform, we matches you to the right mentors who can guide you with your specific situation. Second thing is, you develop, invest in your leaders. I'm not calling a man or a women leader. Why I'm saying it's an investment in your leader, because leader can be anyone. So we have something, a program called as WILL, Women's Initiative to Lead and Learn, where we teach leadership principles like critical decision making, right? How you're motivating your team, how you are solving the difficult problems, how you're strategizing. So this is very much focused on the leadership things what you do. Third, my perspective on mentorship is very different. Like it has to be reverse also. Gen Z. I'm not sure how many Gen Zs in the crowd. Anyone raise your hands? Yes. So there is a lot to learn. Even the folks who are into the industry, they can learn back, right? It's called reverse mentoring. I don't know Gen Z lingo, so I will be happy to learn, right? The new tech trends which are coming, amazing. One more thing I can add is on the peer mentorship, because the people with the same role, with the same experience, like I have a similar problem to someone who is doing the same job. So you can create mentoring circles which help each other. Yeah, so those four things I believe, and what practically even I have benefit out of it, it has immensely helped me to grow from a senior engineer
Awesome.
to a group manager now.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Jay, you want to take a stab at it as well? Same question.
Sure. Two things, and building up what Anjali just mentioned. One is the mentoring slash coaching, and it has taken me quite a bit of time to realize that these two are very different things. I would focus a lot more on the coaching aspect, something which a mentoring usually comes from someone who's gone down the same path before you
Mm-hmm.
and can tell you what are the pitfalls, the
Right.
pluses and the
Right.
minuses and
Right.
so on. But then again, the workplace is changing, the kind of people are changing. Like we talked about Generation Z and so on. I think coaching again is not really about telling you the path, but coaching is drawing out from you. And if you know, a lot of senior leaders also have coaches, like super senior leaders, business leaders will have coaches because there is always room for change and improvement. So coaching is definitely a big thing in my mind, and organizations should provide that, should match it, like Anjali was saying. match people to coaches, because again, coaching is also a little bit about the chemistry between the coach and the coachee per se. The second thing which I find, and this is again something which I've realized over time, is this notion of understanding your strengths. And there are tests and ways of figuring it out. There is something called the Strength Finder test, which talks about what is your strengths. But what I find even more interesting is that it's not just your inherent strengths, but in your inherent strengths vis-a-vis the team strengths, and how do you figure out in that particular equation. For example, a person with the same strengths may actually not work very well in a team A, but could work very well in team B because her strengths are complementary, her strengths bring something very refreshing. So, and I think this is something that organizations can do. They can do like team strength finding tests, very, very practical, very useful sort of thing to understand not just the individual strength, but the team strengths and how people play within teams. So yeah, my two
Awesome.
things.
Thank you. Anjali, again, we spoke about, I think three of us spoke about it offline, emotional intelligence, topic very close to my heart. What role does emotional intelligence play when a person moves from an individual contributor to a people manager? I'm asking more from a sense, and I want you to share with the audience about your personal experience in the place.
So, yeah, emotional intelligence again play a very key role once you become a manager, because now it's no longer about just your own emotions. It's also about your team emotions, right? And personally, I mean, I too have encountered situations where, you need to lead with emotional intelligence rather than just, IQ, logic that it will be done this way. So as a manager, for example, I have to give critical feedback, right, during the performance management. And sometimes it's very harsh, right, to the person who is sitting and taking that feedback. So that's where I mean, personally, even I have heard stories from my colleagues where the folks have cried or resented, right? Very common. I'm sure many would have faced it. Again, a show of rows of hands. How many have really seen that situation? Oh, yeah. So glad to see that, it's not common and people don't speak about it. That's why I'm speaking from a personal situation. So there, you need to get and understand the emotions that what other person is going through. You have to lead with empathy. You can't just go ahead and do it. And take a pause, reflect, but still you have to deliver that feedback. So empathy becomes very, very important, not just for the person who is giving, but who is receiving. Second thing why it is more important for manager, and you should learn that art, is like because it's an art of self regulation. Sometimes you are in critical incident scenarios, right? You can't lose your calm and composure. You need to understand the situation. You have to regulate. A very key quality for an effective leader is to be consistent. You can't go by the moods, right? If you become unpredictable, you lose the trust of your team. So it's very important that you, as a manager, you need to self regulate yourself. And last one, you need to be aware about your strengths, your weaknesses, so that you dynamically make your team more effective. So, Venki, emotional intelligence really, it becomes more crucial once you move from an IC to manager with these situations.
Jay, you
You
want
want to add
to stab at
anything?
it?
No, I think very, very well said, Anjali. Actually, I mean, it's a double-edged one. Like what Anjali was saying, it becomes very crucial when you become a manager, or when you actually self-regulate, the chances of you becoming a manager becomes much higher. So it can be read both ways. I think emotional intelligence is what really there is to, as you keep moving up the chain of command, or start leading teams, etc. Because again, fundamentally, organizations are organizations, but they are about people. I mean, projects will come, projects will go, they will go out of the door, but you will remain with that team, with the set of people who will become like friends, and you will share good moments and bad moments and terrible moments with them. So I think it is very important for us to think about the human first. And when you think about the human, it is the EQ more than the IQ. Otherwise, you probably would end up with some of these those funny sort of comedy series that you keep seeing on the sitcoms that you see, really, right? Now, one more thing which is there is that in the age of AI, and I don't want to scare folks here, but when we say that the machine is taking over, the machine takes over on some of the rudimentary hard skills. Emotional intelligence becomes even more critical in those scenarios. And I think that is the path for you to become managers, leaders, and so on, where you understand, self regulate, are able to understand sometimes when someone is breaking down, when someone is able to share their pain, share their joy, share their happiness, share their concerns, and be able to sort of sort it out in the most dignified manner. And again, I have learned this from my wife, of course, that sometimes people are not looking for solutions. They're just looking for to unburden. And it's taken me some early years was very difficult, of course, that I didn't get it. And now I get it, that sometimes as a manager, you just need to be a listener and you need to be a coach. That's pretty much the thing.
Can I put you on the spot?
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
if you were asked to define or carve out one innovative strategy that organizations must do to address this problem, what would it be?
Could you repeat that? The sound is a little
I'm saying
one.
if you were asked to carve out or design one innovative strategy that organizations must do to address this challenge, what would it be?
The challenge of being more emotionally intelligent.
Either that
Yeah,
or reducing the barriers that come in the way of a person growing.
right.
And I'll
Uh,
tell you why, Jay, I'm
yeah.
saying this. For me, this is a person moving from an individual contributor to a managerial role is not a career shift. Please listen to what I'm saying. It's not a career shift. It's an evolution in terms of what the organization is going to go through. And the organization and the leaders, all of us have the responsibility to support that individual to transition into the role so that he or she can effectively manage it. And this is not about women or men, it's purely as an individual, as a capable and competent person. So in light of that is what I'm saying. So
Oh, that's an excellent question. And sorry I didn't get you
yeah.
the first time. I think the most important thing that we are taught as individual contributors is everything is output and outcome based. Everything
Yes.
has to be an outcome. Everything has to be an output. But in the managerial roles, in as you move up the ladder, sometimes it's not about the output or the outcome, especially when you're dealing with people. It is about the people. It is about being there for them. It is about being present, being aware. It sounds almost philosophical, but that's what it is. There is no output required. You just need to sit and talk. You just need to sit and understand. And I think if organizations can address that this is one part of your job which is not about an outcome. It's not a KRA. It is not an output based thing, but it is about being present. It's almost like doing a mindfulness course for managers or managers to be, where you just be there and your mind is not thinking about, oh, if I did this code or if I this is a report to be done, etc. But I'm here and present for